So now let's talk about the data sources with Pi, right? So one of the main strengths of and there's going to be a video here. Let me just go ahead and start it. Yeah, there you go. One of the main strengths of the Pi system is its ability to connect to a broad range of sources of operational data. Daniel kind of, spoke to this earlier, but the strength of Pi and kind of the business value is that it can support more than just SCADA data, right? So SCADA data is just one part of the equation, right? You can bring in weather data, financial data. I've seen customers bring in utilities data, for example, right? And Pi supports, this aggregation of data using over 400 different interfaces, connectors, and adapters so that it can natively collect all that data, right? And with those interfaces, connectors, and adapters, Pi supports over 225 industrial communication protocols. So chances are, if you have a device that you want to gather data from, Pi can do that. Even if they're, relatively obscure communication protocols. And, the great thing about these interfaces, connectors, and adapters is that they're all maintained by Aviva, and there is no upkeep or programming that is needed on the user side, only basic configuration. So a common source of confusion in our industry is data security, right? So you might ask, hey, Pi can bring in data from all these different sources, and that's great, right? But is it secure? So yes, the answer is yes, it is. And let's take a look at the security here, specifically with the Pi connectors. You can see that the Pi connectors use what's called relay technology that sits in the DMZ, which you can see it's kind of like that red box right there in the middle. And so basically these relays are placed inside of the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone, right? And the DMZ separates the Pi connector that sits on the process control network on the left from the Pi server that's on the corporate network on the right. And then both of those layers have enforced security. So you have certificates from the Pi connector to the DMZ, to the relay in the DMZ, and then Windows integrated security on the other side of that layer, right? From the relay to the Pi server.